Good morning and welcome to another episode of Morning Java. Taylor has something she would like to share with you.
Gecko has birthday cake milkshakes now. Incredible.
Why?
It's right up there with cotton candy for my favorite now.
See, I'm not allowed to have any of this stuff. She even informs me that there is a Java milkshake.
Yeah, it's literally called the Java milkshake.
Java milkshake.
It's perfect.
Although she can enjoy it, presumably most of you can enjoy it. Get out to our good friends at the Get-Go Cafe and Market. Let's talk a little bit of hockey here in the middle of July. The Penguins now suddenly have, 7, 8 goaltenders at the professional level?
Pretty much, yeah. Not all on NHL deals, but Tristan Jarry is not.
He's gone.
Yeah, so earlier, last week they signed Dustin Tokarski to an AHL deal.
A championship goaltender.
Yeah, 2 Calder Cup veteran. He has NHL experience.
With the new coach.
With the new coach. He played for Vellucci in Charlotte. He didn't sign to play in Wheeling. He'll be in Wilkes-Barre.
No.
And they have Laramie and Diorio going pro next year in North America, and they don't really like to have 2 young goaltenders like that together as a tandem. So
no, most teams don't. That's one of the things that was interesting about the signing of Emil Laramie from Finland. Was he's coming from his own championship pedigree. By the way, him and Tokarski both have that going for them. But Laramie comes over and now maybe has a chance to get acclimated, if you will, to the North American game, to the smaller rink, to all that other stuff. Judging by the personality of his that we encountered during development camp, he will have no problem whatsoever. But Alex Diorio is the guy that really stands out for me. I think that he's maybe the one that they want to have in that secondary younger dude role.
Yeah, so he'll probably start the season in Wheeling. Wheeling already has a veteran goalie under contract, and Jordan Ruby, he's a great guy too. Because Diorio needs to be playing, so they're not going to have him in Wilkes-Barre. They've
behind Tokarski.
Yeah, because they've carried 3 goalies before, but you can't carry these 3 goalies in Wilkes-Barre. So I think Diorio will start in Wheeling, with Ruby backing up, and then Tokarski and Laramie can kind of share.
Yeah, one thing that's interesting, a lot of times when you hear about the Wheeling Nailers and you'll hear about a forward or defenseman, you'll think, why am I bothering with this? These guys are never going to make it to the NHL. Goaltenders are a different dynamic when it comes to this. Because if you're in the ECHL and you're playing in goal, ask Thomas Vokoun, ask Casey DeSmith, ask a bunch of guys. That's the only place you can go. So you have a chance to make it to the NHL. Just stop pucks.
Yeah, Wheeling has one of the best track records, if not the best track record of moving guys up to the NHL, and a lot of them have been goaltenders. So, it's not a bad place for Diorio.
But Jarry's gone. I
don't know what they were
I don't remember where I was. I was somewhere on the Penguins the road, and I remember either calling you or texting you from somewhere saying I heard.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. It was when DeSmith signed his extension.
Yeah.
And I'd gotten the information that basically, that was a long time ago, that was last December, that Jarry was going to be gone. And that's the case here. And there's no drama here. Casey DeSmith is going to be the backup in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, well, and then I think, once Jarry's gone and they clear that contract, they could sign Tokarski to an NHL deal. They're not at their max 50, contracts yet, but they have 6 remaining contracts to give out, so I can understand why they would give Tokarski an AHL deal for now, because they don't know what's coming, future trades if they get any prospects back. But after Jarry's gone, I could see that NHL deal, signing Tokarski, because Tokarski would be the best option to come up if they
I was
going to
say he could be, for lack of a better term, he could be Zadkov. In the process of changing the roster to the degree that the Penguins have so far at the NHL level, they've brought in Dominic Cahoon. They've brought in Alex Galchenyuk, and then they brought in Brandon Tanev. And immediately, I think the discussion turns to all of those things that Jim Rutherford and Mike Sullivan have talked openly about, which is that they want to become younger, faster, and harder to play against. Younger, faster, and harder to play against. Did they?
I don't know. Harder to play against, they definitely got a few guys with grit. Cahoon definitely brings that youth in.
He's fast too.
He's fast. Yeah. Galchenyuk, I don't know about the harder to play against necessarily.
I know.
Yeah.
That's the part that kind of stands out for me with him too. But he's also fast.
Yeah.
And can score, obviously.
And he's still young. the harder to play against thing. You talked about it in your drive. It's hard to use advanced stats from another team and compare those, but if you look at his numbers relative,
Galchenyuk?
Yeah, relative to the Coyotes, I mean, he was out there for a lot of shots against, like some of the worst numbers compared to the Coyotes. So
that's the part that whenever we get into advanced metrics with players, the fairest comparison point with things like that are you on the rink for more shots against than your teammates?
Yeah.
Because maybe not over the course of 1 game, 2 games, even a month, it won't mean much. But over 82 games, you're exposed.
Yeah. Yeah, you really have to look at those relative numbers. Like, you can't really look at the straight, like, Corsi for percentages of guys on other teams and compare
Right, it's not fair.
It's not
someone
fair.
on the Lightning is going to spend a whole lot more time in the other end than someone on the Senators.
But if a player is exceptionally bad compared to his teammates, and Galchenyuk is kind of...
He's close to that, yeah.
Then that's something to take note of.
Now, we did mention Tanev, but Tanev is the guy that probably stands out in the hard to play against role. Have we gotten, Taylor, to the point where the advanced analytics community can look at what Tanev does and find value to it? Because right now it feels like advanced analytics just look at, oh, he's this and therefore he's this, and none of this other stuff that he does means anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the St. Louis Blues just won the Stanley Cup by being in people's faces.
Yeah, I don't know. I bet he's also someone that's been called an offensive black hole. Is that...
he played in Winnipeg with 2 guys who were pretty talented for a 4th line, okay? So when you go out there and you contribute 14 goals and 15 assists without ever taking a power play shift, I can think of a lot of terms more generous than black hole for his offense.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely a proponent of, like, you don't have to be scoring goals to be contributing. I mean, I defended Dominic Simone how many times?
So I have heard.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If all he's doing out there is being physical and hitting people, I don't know.
Yeah, but he does more than that. He does more than that. You're going to like him. You're going to like him. You know what's going to happen to Tanev? He's going to get Jack Johnson, and that is now a verb. He is.
It's already happening.
It's already happening. Yeah. It's going to be whatever he does isn't going to be good enough commensurate to the contract, when in fact he did nothing wrong by signing the contract. He doesn't necessarily need to exceed or even live up to the contract. They wanted the player, they got the player.
Yeah, I mean, $3.5 million, I don't have that much of an issue with. There's it's Evolving Hockey is the group. They do like salary projections for free agents, and they're really pretty accurate. And they had him at, I think, like $2.7 million. So I mean, 3.5 is not that far off. I don't have an issue with the salary, but 6 years for a role player.
They wanted to get the player.
Yeah, but he
is a role player, but he's a role player within. This is how I feel about this. He's a role player within a roster that needed a role player. Like if you were, I don't know, the Ottawa Senators, to keep picking on them, and you basically needed everything.
Yeah.
And you go and you spend this kind, you invest this kind of contract in a 4th line guy, you're nuts, because you need to fill your top 6 forwards first. Penguins don't need to do that. They have their top 9 filled without this guy. They felt like they needed this type of player, this type of presence to change the culture and all that other stuff that Mike Sullivan wants to do. They put the price tag on it. They went and got him.
Furland's a comparable player. He got $3.5 million for 4 years.
Yeah,
I think that people
Vancouver,
are looking at that too. I mean,
okay, but what happens? All right, I'll grant you that.
Yeah.
But what if it's not the Canucks? What if it's the Penguins that signed Furland? What's the reaction here?
I think a lot of people were looking for Furland. I think.
What about from the analytics people? Oh no, it's another meathead. Look at what he's doing. I know, but it would all be the same thing. Rutherford's bringing in a Ryan Reeves, who the coach won't even play and whatever. Meanwhile, Furland is much better than just a fighter. I mean, he's a pretty good hockey player.
Do you think they'll be rebuilding in 6 years and this won't matter anyway? Because I know.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the way I see it is someone like Brandon Tanev, who gives you everything that he's got, is never going to rip you off. you're never going to have a point in his contract where you go, wow, this guy's just stealing money from us. By then, 6 years from now, where do you think the salary cap will be? There's no way it won't be over 100.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I mean?
They have like younger players in the system who do have that kind of pushback, and I don't like.
Who? Adam Johnson?
No, but I mean
he can't push back. He'll get blown over.
Angelo Bjorkquist is that kind of player.
Right.
They got.
No. That's a fair
like
counter.
Power forwards like that is like they might not be ready yet, but in a couple of years they might be. Is there not going to be a spot for them?
You might be right.
Yeah.
However, Jim Rutherford is the general manager of this team right now, and he has, and this is a plus, Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Chris Letang, and he can't just generally manage for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
I get it. You know what I mean?